And welcome to another exciting edition of Color Me Poetry. We have got some most exciting guests. We got poet Miss Peggy Disrole. And Peggy's been here before. And we welcome, we're glad to have you back again. And also we have a second guest, Bro.Ah. And I know you're going to ask, how you get that name? Bro.Ah is a musician, he's a composer, he's an arranger, and then he's a whole bunch of other stuff. So we're going to let him tell you about himself. First, we want to start with Peggy, because Peggy, you this is your second time here, and last time you were here, you shared some great poetry with us, and I understand that you're working on some new things. Please tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I've been writing for a number of years now. I write poetry, perform it dramatically on stage with musicians, dance. I'm going to be in a play at the Source Theater in August, and there's a lot of exciting things coming up that I'll be doing. Just look out and listen for it.
I remember seeing a video that you had showed me some time ago, and I saw the energy level. I said, wow, where does sister get this energy from? I saw the energy level that you put into your art form, and it really just had me captured there. You know, I saw you performing, and I was like, there's a lot of energy, and a lot of talent that goes into that. I mean, a lot of times people don't understand what artists go through, you know, to have to perfect the art form in itself.
Yeah, I always keep a real high energy level. The performance you saw was done at the Market 5 Gallery, where they had the program, Black Men Honoring Black Women, which was a very good program where I put together and choreographed a dance and some poetry with music. And it turned out very well.
And you performed all over town, really?
Yes, all over town.
It's beautiful. It's great to have you here. Bro.Ah, we're going to drag you in here, brother. Now, you tell us a little bit about yourself. You're a musician. And
well, I'm a musician. I like to call myself a natural musician.
Okay.
I say that because I am a musician that tries to create an atmosphere for the listener that will be conducive to the listener being able to be a part of nature. I believe that if there were no musicians on this planet Earth, the planet Earth itself will be singing a beautiful song with all the birds and the insects and the wind. So I'm a musician that comes out of a tradition, and that tradition, of course, is the African tradition. I've spent lots of time in the forest in Africa amongst people who have been very much in tune with nature, and I've studied music with people in the villages, and I've studied the idea of music being a part of a universal art form in the villages in Africa.
What would the world be like without music? Because music is such an integral part of our lives. I mean, we think about music on the radio and music and movies and all of that. What would the movies be like without music, you know?
Well, there cannot be a silent earth. Because at least some of us realize that there is a certain drum beat that goes on within our breasts, that heartbeat. That in itself creates a musical sound. When the fetus is in the womb, it's hearing first its own heartbeat, and then it hears all these sounds within the mother. But from the 7th to the 9th month, the baby hears everything that comes through the walls of the mother's stomach. So the child is really a sound awareness being in the womb. So when the child comes out into the world, he's quite used to listening in a peripheral way of all the sounds of nature. There could not be a silent earth because there are too many living entities on earth.
That's most beautiful. So sound is all around us. Yeah, and you've been involved with sound and music and those type of things for many, many years. How did you first get into, briefly, if you could just tell us?
Well, I've always had a leaning towards music. My father was very musical. He was a singer, and he did a lot of the U.B. Blake and Noble Sissle's shows back in the 20s, Deep Harlem, Shuffle Along, Skyscraper, was some of the shows that he did, and he sort of passed on, and the family sort of passed on the legacy. So I was blessed with the talent of music. Of course, my teachers always told me that you're only blessed with a maximum of 10% talent, and the rest is 90% hard work. So when I was 9 years old, I realized that I had a lot of work to do. So I've been working very hard since I was a child to be able to express myself through music and to be a vehicle for the expression beyond myself. That is to say, through the atmosphere, we hear things as musicians. We pick up things through our ears. And I've been blessed to be able to recreate those sounds. When I was 9 years old, I started on the trumpet. And I evolved from the trumpet to the French horn, which is my primary instrument. And then later on in my career, in 1972, while I was teaching at Dartmouth College in New Hampshire, I began to experiment with various instruments. I went to Africa for the first time in 72, and that sort of stimulated me into learning many, many more instruments. However, my musical philosophy is called sound awareness. That was brought to me by young people, by 4th, 5th, and 6th graders in the Southeast Bronx, where I was raised. They taught me to listen to all kinds of sounds. One day I was teaching them in the classroom, and I walked into the classroom, and they were making, I thought, all of this noise, total chaos. And I told them, please stop. But you're not playing music now. It's too disorganized. And they said, no. Let us teach you what we're doing.
They're going to teach the teacher.
They taught the teacher. So I sat down. When the child says, let me teach you something, of course, I listen. And they said, now you listen to what's happening outside of the window. It was a beautiful spring morning, and I began to listen to the sounds outside, and that's what they were imitating. The car horns, the birds that was lighting on the windowsill, all the sounds that were coming through the window, they were imitating on their horns jointly. So it was like a beautiful symphony, an ode to nature. I immediately heard it when they said it, and it changed my whole perspective.
It was different.
It was absolutely different and refreshing. And out of that experience, I named my musical philosophy and method sound awareness. And from there, I taught there for about three or four years. From there, I was invited to join the faculty at Dartmouth College, and I was able to develop this philosophy and this system of music called sound awareness.
And that's very important, too, for us to be aware of so many different types of sounds around us. I think African people have a tradition. I mean, when you think about black music, and this is, what they call Black Music Month, I think we have a tradition of music from the spirituals and the gospel and the ragtime and the blues and all of that. People sometimes don't realize that that's all black music.
We have a long, long, long legacy. When we came to these shores, there's no accident in early America that we produced such great people. It's no accident that on those slave blocks in early America that there were master musicians and master poets and chiefs and they were just not the simple farming folk. They were royalty. And there's no accident that we had a Leontine Price, or we had a Charlie Parker, or Dizzy Gillespie. It comes to the genes. We brought a great tradition with us. From the continent of Africa, which spread throughout the entire world. Wherever Africans were sent, we took this tradition. It manifested itself differently. In the Caribbean, of course, they have reggae and they have calypso. Yes. It took on that particular form, the African American.
But we're the same people.
We're the same people. And in North America, that same tradition, African tradition, was manifested differently with the blues and the jazz and the spiritual. And in South America, where they sent out people, they had the bossa nova and different beats. So we're the same people developing an African music in the diaspora.
That is very beautiful. I mean, there's a lot of history there. We need 5 or 6 more programs to